This was every time Zoidberg was a terrible surgeon. From extracting a pineal gland from a Yeti's brain to turning his coworker into a makeshift puppet, these moments prove that he's the last person you would ever want as your doctor. Stick around to watch the most disturbing operations Zoidberg has performed on his crew, and let me know in the comments which one is the worst. The story begins as Professor Farnsworth and a young Zoidberg meet for the first time on a mission to hunt down and surgically remove poison from an unknown alien. And surprisingly, Zoidberg questions Mom on the ethicality of the operation.
A Tritonian Yeti? You two aren't up to anything unethical, are you?
Never once have I thought Zoidberg would care so much about morals, considering all the mess up surgeries he's done. Fast forward to the present day, Fry returns back to Planet Express with his hand covered in cactus spikes, leading to Zoidberg throwing his morals right out the window as he tries to help him by slamming a book on it.
Blood?
Can someone confirm if Zoidberg is even certified in medicine? Because after Fry's symptoms turn him yellow due to liver failure, he removes Leela's liver as a replacement, causing her to need a spine supplement from Hermes.
Good as new.
The crew complains to Zoidberg for the surgical mistakes as we flash back to the beginning of his first mission with Professor Farnsworth. After jumping out of a plane, Zoidberg warns him about a deadly hypermalaria lurking in the swamps until, well, it's too late.
Just be sure to stay out of the methane swamps.
The team regroups in a medical bay as Zoidberg explains the symptoms of hypermalaria, stating how it can either kill instantly or erupt out of nowhere, causing fevers, comas, and even death. Since Farnsworth is the only person unaffected by the disease, he ventures out alone to hunt down the Yeti. Setting up a trap with Yeti bait, Farnsworth lays low until hearing a noise right behind him.
Stop or I'll shoot! Zoidberg?
Zoidberg appears unharmed as he tells the professor he's going to need backup if he wants to complete the mission, but Farnsworth says there's no point in helping since he drank some of the swamp water when they landed. Seriously, who drinks purple water? After convincing Farnsworth that he will help, they team up right before the Yeti appears, snatching Zoidberg off the ground while biting his head off. Farnsworth climbs on top of a tree and attacks the Yeti with a knife, stabbing him multiple times before charging at him and saving Zoidberg's life. After conversing over the disease, Farnsworth asks Zoidberg to do a favor for him in the case that he starts showing symptoms.
I want you to kill me. All right, give me the knife. Not now!
They continue to talk as he tells Zoidberg to stay by his side until the symptoms appear. Back to the present, the crew goes to an actual doctor's office to fix all of Zoidberg's failed operations. If this guy can fix Smurf Fry and the stubby-foot janitor, they might want to consider switching doctors.
People, please, let's not overreact. Death to the crab!
They head over to Professor Farnsworth and tell him to fire Zoidberg for all the damage he caused, only for him to deny their wishes.
Thanks to Dr. Scissorhands, I wet myself every time I laugh.
He tells them that he made a secret promise with Zoidberg long ago, but unfortunately doesn't tell them it's related to his symptoms of the deadly disease. The crew takes the situation into their own hands by confronting Zoidberg in person and telling him they never want to see him again. I know he may have taken a kidney or two, but trying to kick him out for a couple of surgical slip-ups seems totally uncalled for.
Nobody wants to see you ever again. Dr. Zoidberg, I want to see you right now.
The two meet up as Farnsworth tells Zoidberg that his time is coming to an end, stating how they have to talk about their secret arrangement. And after calming Zoidberg down, Farnsworth tells him he has to keep his promise to kill him.
But I'll try, friend.
Why would Zoidberg try to kill him in the most horrible way possible? Thankfully, Farnsworth de-escalates the situation by stating how he's afraid of dying. What follows are multiple attempts to kill Farnsworth, from trying to electrocute him to death to pushing him off a ledge, but unfortunately, the crew catches Farnsworth while Zoidberg is taken away. After discovering a Yeti hair on Farnsworth's lab coat, the crew is told the reason why he was trying to kill Farnsworth. They try to release Zoidberg from the room, but find he crab-holed his way out all the way to Mom. The two catch up while Zoidberg negotiates a deal with her to obtain the cure. Meanwhile, at Planet Express, the crew comes up with an elaborate plan to kill Farnsworth themselves in the most absurd method possible by dropping cyanide on the spinning wheel of death before reaching the professor. Just in time, Zoidberg appears with what seems to be the cure, but for a different type of disease.
He has Yetiism.
Explaining to the crew that the scratch on his neck is causing him to turn into a Yeti, the death wheel continues its course. Zoidberg quickly pulls out the pineal gland and shoves it down the professor's throat in hopes of turning him back to human, but unfortunately makes him a double Yeti. As the death wheel is veered off course, the room is destroyed, leaving Bender's head split in half. Everything seems lost until Farnsworth climbs out of the debris safe and sound, as a result of the pineal gland curing him from Yetiism. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how Zoidberg gets so lucky with his operations, but maybe that's that's why Farnsworth kept him around all this time even if he isn't a real doctor. Or maybe he kept him around because things seem to work out, but sometimes that's not always the case. Let's just say Fry was never quite the same after one of Zoidberg's more unique procedures. The episode begins with the crew working out in the gym. After Leela messes around with Fry by almost killing him, Zoidberg takes over and starts benching the same way as your mom, while loading on more plates. A couple of reps later, he develops a gnarly head fin and ultimately snaps the bar in half as Bender chuckles away at the idea of Zoidberg coming out of his shell.
Get it? He's coming at it!
He continues his rampage all around the gym, knocking over equipment and scaring pregnant women. The crew managed to bring him back to Planet Express to figure out why he's acting so aggressive. He even tries to sweet talk Amy to take off his rubber bands.
Fool me 7 times, shame on you. Fool me 8 or more times, shame on me.
She really doesn't learn from her mistakes, does she? Farnsworth concludes that Zoidberg's chaotic behavior is caused by an overabundance of male jelly, meaning that it's mating season for his species. As a result, they all agree to bring Zoidberg to his home planet to begin the mating ritual.
Dr. Zoidberg said I should hold these while he's gone.
The crew arrives at Decapod 10, where they get a little tour of his hometown before setting up display at the beach for potential mates. After an unsuccessful attempt at attracting a mate, Zoidberg meets up with Edna, an old classmate of his. They catch up until he asks her to mate with him, but gets rejected once again, leaving him feeling depressed. Fry steps in to help by offering him some concerning advice on how to win over Edna's heart, using his own romantic techniques.
The Love Meister will take you under his wing.
What? Now there's a bird involved.
I already know what happens to Fry, but it shocks me every single time. As Zoidberg continues to use the dating advice, Edna slowly starts falling in love with Zoidberg. Well, up until Leela tells her the truth.
Words of such beauty came from the blowhole of that hideous alien?
Yeah. What?
Good job, Leela. You just ruined Zoidberg's only chance at losing his V-card. After the dinner, Fry gets tricked into meeting with Edna where she tries to seduce him with her curvy pink crab body.
Can I interest you in some surf and turf?
Somehow, Edna gets her way by latching on top of him. I wish I was Fry's face right now. Anyway, Zoidberg walks in on them making out, causing him to freak out at Fry.
Zoidberg, it's not how it looks.
Her caviar is on your neck!
Without listening to the truth, Zoidberg challenges him to fight to the death. The next morning, everyone gathers around to witness the duel. After going back and forth with each other, Fry gets the upper hand on Zoidberg, and with a change of heart, he decides to spare him while giving a speech about friendship. But just before finishing, Zoidberg chops off his arm. Leela finally tells him to stop fighting after realizing everyone has left the arena to mate with each other, including Edna. Walking back to the ship, Zoidberg tells him the truth about the mating ritual.
Once my species passes on its genes, it dies.
Back at Planet Express, Zoidberg reattaches Fry's arm back on his body, but on the wrong side, asking him to try again.
I don't mean to nitpick, Super Doc, but do you think maybe you could take one more whack at this?
Even though Fry was able to put up with Zoidberg, the same can't be said for Hermes as he conducts an annual performance review in hopes of firing the lowest rated employee. And what do you know, all signs point to the Crab Doctor. But things take an unexpected turn as Hermes concludes that he's the reason the company is losing profit, so he decides the best option is to fire himself. In need of a new employee to do all the bureaucratic tasks, Hermes is replaced by a robot called Mark 7G. The whole crew is surprisingly fine with losing Hermes to a robot, except for Zoidberg.
He was the only one who cared enough to insult me.
I insult you, you fat sack.
In contrast, Hermes tells his wife that the only positive part of being fired is that he'll never have to see Zoidberg again, while serving him her famous spicy goat curry, which is so spicy that it melts through every single home below them all the way to HE double hockey sticks.
Ah, fire! Ah, it burns! It burns!
On a late night walk in the park with La Barbara, they find themselves in a scary situation as Roberto jumps out to rob their skin. Their skin. Did I hear that right? La Barbara tells him to do something, but Hermes says whenever he's against robots, he always loses. Just in time, the police capture Roberto, strapping him to a magnetic chamber to be executed. In the locker room, Hermes meets with Bender, asking him for a favor as Fry listens in.
Could you come in here and help me rub on this new scented body oil?
In a second, I'm eavesdropping.
Hermes convinces Bender to bring him to a surgical implant parlor in the filthy town. When they arrive, he asks for a modification to be a little more superior, just like a robot. As he proves himself to be better, Hermes rehires himself.
Welcome back, old friend. I missed you terribly.
You do everything terribly.
Zoidberg is the only one to welcome Hermes back right before Farnsworth loses his teeth down the drain, causing Bender to show off his extendo hands, while at the same time making Hermes jealous. So he heads back to the implant parlor for another upgrade and fetches the professor's teeth.
Thank you. Hermes.
After showing off his cut off body parts, Zoidberg grabs the bag off his hands and says he'll throw it away, but knowing Zoidberg, he is definitely planning something. Back at home, Hermes accidentally breaks his glasses, but uses it as an excuse to get yet another upgrade. Okay, maybe one for below 2. The following day, Hermes arrives at work looking like a transformer, telling the crew he replaced every body part except for his brain.
Nice shiny metal ass, Hermes.
But
Zoidberg grabs another bag of body parts from Hermes, setting the stage for what seemed to be his plan all along.
I'm not your friend. I'm out of here the second you let go of my bowels.
Hermes is filled with regret after seeing his body in action, but concludes that he'll need to replace his brain in order to get rid of this emotion, leading him back to the robot surgeon, but unfortunately gets denied for such a request. All hope seems lost for Hermes until he convinces Farnsworth to carry out the operation. They head to a cemetery to recover a robot brain, but out of all the dead robots, they pick up Roberto's. The operation is about to commence when LaBarbara and their son arrive, telling him he'll lose them both if he continues the surgery. Farnsworth overhears a conversation and realizes that he'd be making a big mistake if he implanted the robot brain. Hermes doesn't take this lightly as he demands the professor to carry out the operation, but just in time, Zoidberg steps up to take over the surgery using Puppet Hermes. One comedic montage later, Zoidberg extracts his brain, but instead of throwing it away, he puts it back into Hermes, bringing him back alive.
Sweet reawakening of me, a Jamaicanin.
Hermes, you're alive!
If only it was that easy in real life. The episode comes to an end as the robot comes back alive and implants Roberto's brain in itself. Crazy Roberto tries to eat some of Hermes' skin, but it's so spicy from the curry he ate before that it melts him straight to the ground.
It burns!
What's happening?
The spicy curried goat.
Hermes thanks him for saving his life, ending in Zoidberg doing a crab dance. Even though Zoidberg caused a lot of surgical problems, I can't hate on the crab because he always finds a solution, even if it's not exactly as planned. But you know what was planned? This video right here. Click on the screen to watch next, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Futurama videos just like this one. Bye bye.